couldn't see, nor could I dream.
Welcome back to the home slice for the third installment of our Kukri versus Parang versus Golok. I don't know if you guys are enjoying this. I don't know how the video feel will come out, but I've been really enjoying just going for it. A little bit less technical steels, a little bit more traditional sort of designs and choppers. And I've been really enjoying just kind of grabbing them and go and doing more things out of intuition and just observing as I get out here. I'm sorry because the cicadas are going for it right now and it's like deafening out here. But we have the two champions of our previous two tournaments. Condor Bushcraft Parang. This thing is an absolute beast. It is measuring up a little higher on the best machine, around the 400 mark. And then we have the King Kukri. This monster micarta handled custom Kukri from which just absolutely wiped the floor with everything else edge retention wise. It beat the Golok, it beat the Parang, it beat the cold steel Gurkha Kukri. Just beat everything. An observation that I have kind of around that is that the 18 degrees per side, or 19 degrees per side edges that I gave these guys didn't really help them over the 17 degrees edges that I have been rocking before. In fact, if I were to choose, I probably would go back to 17 degrees and just strop a little bit more. And that brings me to my second observation, which is that in my previous testing, I was getting much better best numbers after the first hour of chopping. Very few things were over 400 grams. And I think that that's due to doing the aligning strokes that also kind of wipes off the patina or oxide layer on the kangaroo strop. And I think that re-stropping on the denim with Mother's Mag, the hanging denim strop with Mother's Mag auto polish in it, has been really benefiting the blades. I also don't think that I will continue doing 30 full strokes on the hanging strop because the extra convexity doesn't seem to have assisted in edge retention and maybe in fact kind of over-domed or over-rounded the apex, which actually has resulted in most of the blades in a probably like a rise in the compression that the wood experiences when the blade tries to push into it, which sort of creates some hardening effect or some pressure at the very apex, which actually destroys the apex more quickly. One observation that I make is that the edge retention has roughly and approximately gone together with the thickness behind the edge. The thin convex has really helped it to maintain that edge by not creating a lot of resistance in the cut. This Condor Parang, I think my viewer Andrew has sort of smoothed it out to a thinner edge bevel on a sander, and that I think really helped it a bit. The cold steel Kukri and the Condor Golok both had thicker edges, and it's just worth noting that that made sharpening more difficult and didn't in this case result in better edge retention. I should mention that in these videos I'm only cutting down invasive, introduced kind of noxious weed type plants here in New Zealand as part of a project to restore this land to native plants only. And so I'm not just chopping down trees for no reason, because I've got a few comments about that, which is understandable. Let's put these two head to head and see who wins this mini tournament. No time like the present, hey? No time like the present.
Follow
So I'm on my hike out, but I just figured I'd follow up with a few thoughts. I think the parang, the Condor Bushcraft Parang, is probably the best speed and accuracy that I've experienced. Like, man, that thing just goes exactly where you send it. And the penetration is really good. Like, thinking back to demoing these other fixed blade knives from companies like the Buck Hoodlum or the Survive Knives GSO 10. Those are great blades. But this little bushcraft parang made by Condor, it moves more naturally, it bites more deeply, it flies more swiftly, and it is more accurate. However, I would say even that the parang had slightly better speed and slightly better accuracy. However, and there is a big however, I think the Kukri had the power that I was looking for. Like, I have never handled a knife that performed so closely to an axe. Oh my gosh, the cicadas are so loud. I'm gonna have to pause. Sorry about that, guys. The cicadas love these trees, and they're just deafening when you get enough of them together. Anyway, I've never experienced a knife that threads such a perfect balance between speed and chop impact and leverage, and meanwhile maintaining a pack weight that's like relatively understandable. A full-size kukri is not a light blade by any stretch, but it feels like a whole bunch of that weight went straight into functionality, which is really cool. So, final verdict. Let me get into the sunlight here. I think my final verdict is, if you are looking for something that's really fast and cross-functional, if you want a flatter edge so that you could do bushcrafty things or food prep things more easily, I think the Condor Bushcraft Parang is probably for you. As for the winner of this tournament, in a chopping only focused task, I've got to give it to the Kukri. If you want to see my last test where this Kukri took on a cold steel Gurkha Kukri, links on screen now. For the rest of you, I'll say peace out from the home slice.